Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And today I'm going to be talking about a little bit about eggshells and sting and nettle and a bunch of other stuff for today's this and that. So let's get right to it. Now right here is my jar of processed eggshells, meaning I just put them in a blender, process them up as fine as I can get them, and then I will use these to make capsules that those would be the ones I would give to Mr. Rain, and I'll show you how I do that in a video right up here, or I do already show how to do that. But I also have another video where I'm talking about the health benefits of the eggshells and at least how they've helped me immensely, and I will go ahead and link to that video right up here. So as you can see, my basket of eggshells, I just washed my eggshells with just plain water and then let them dry. You may want to heat them if you're very concerned about salmonella. You really don't even have to bake them that long. Some people boil them to kill the salmonella. I don't recommend that because to me, I think the boiling would leach a lot of the nutrients and minerals out of the eggshells. So what I would recommend if you're concerned about salmonella, stick them in the oven at a low heat for only like 10 minutes at 200 degrees on a cookie sheet is enough to kill salmonella. And that would be, I think, the best way to do it, to kill the salmonella without losing all the good nutrients in the eggshells that, again, the magnesium and calcium, you're getting them together in that eggshell and very, very beneficial. So I'll be taking care of that today. And I want to show you one of my most recent water kefirs I've made is pansy, peppermint, and I think I have a few woolly lamb's ear leaves in there. Oh man, this is so good. So very refreshing on a hot, dry day. The peppermint and then the fizziness of the kefir, and just, it's good and healthy, and it's wonderful. I just love it. And then I have another jar of apple cinnamon here I need to get in the refrigerator, and it turned out to be a nice color. And one thing I've been doing with the kefir, and just like I thought, look how bubbly that is. I don't know if you can see that in there. I just picked it up and bubbles come shooting out. My kefir grains are looking better already because I just stopped using the coconut sugar in the first ferment. I just used the organic evaporated cane sugar, and that is better. And somebody did comment, and this was my suspicion, is that coconut sugar and other things, too many minerals in your kefir is going to actually slow down and eventually kill your kefir grains. They need minerals, but too many minerals is going to kill them. And so I add the coconut sugar to the second ferment now. I don't even put the cane sugar in here. I just use coconut sugar since I've already fermented the first batch in the cane sugar. Then I add the coconut sugar only to this, and that's partly where you get that color, but some of it also is coming from the cinnamon stick in there. And I have a video on how I make the apple cinnamon kefir, and I only have room for 5 cards up here, and I don't keep count to how many I'm pointing to up here, so if I run out, I'll try to put them at the end. Anyway, I put as many as I can. Okay, so eggshells, and then I want to show you real quick a garage sale find. These are the cast iron, the enameled cast iron, and I got this whole set of 4 for only $2. Initially, she was charging $1 a piece, and I'm like, well, I'm thinking I'll just get 2 because I thought they were neat. They'd be something I could cook right on the wood stove in. We can heat up a bowl of soup or whatever in there, some leftover soup. That'd be a perfect thing to heat it up in. And I love the little handle. And then she said, here, I'll just sell you all 4 so they can go together for just $2. And I was like, done. And then I will be filtering out my apple sage vinegar. It is ready to go. And I'll be doing a separate video on this. And also in that video, I'll be making a fresh batch of herbal vinegar. So I'll be watching for that to come out shortly after this one, within probably a few days. And yeah, because some people are coming in and asking me more questions about vinegar. I got lots of new people coming in. And since I'm doing my vinegar slightly differently now than I was doing when I first started my YouTube channel, it is time to start shooting some new videos on how I make my different vinegars. And then right here, this big pile right here is a stinging nettle I just harvested. And so I'm going to be breaking the leaves off of that. I try to take all the stems off. Now you can touch, the stems typically are not going to sting you. The part of the leaf that's going to sting you is this front part here. I mean, if you're careful, you can touch the back without getting stung, but you don't want to pinch it because you're going to get stung through on the front. So you can handle these bare-handed if you're very careful, but it's so much easier to just wear gloves. Now, I did this last time when I was harvesting wear these. Most of the time these are just fine, but I got a little too vigorous and ended up getting stung through the glove a little bit, but not badly. It was totally cool. And we've always got all kinds of herbs out there. Normally I just bear through it because I just don't think it's that big deal, and the sting doesn't last that long. But you can always chew up some plantain and put it on there. And somebody said, I think Doc works really well. But I wanted to show you something. These nitrile gloves, if I can find some like these on Amazon. These, again, were sent to me by a subscriber. And I keep using the same pair over and over and over again for making soap. And she sent me a whole box. They had 200 in there. So it's 100 pairs. And they're going to last me a long time because I have yet to poke a hole in them. And I keep using them again and again. So I just wash them up, and then what you can do, you know, to make them, you know, after a while they kind of get harder to put back on again, is I take them off, and then I start to turn them, and I just blow on it to blow them the right side out again, because usually I turn it inside out. And then you can take just a little bit of tapioca starch or arrowroot powder. Cornstarch would work too, but I don't use cornstarch at all anymore because most of it you find is GMO. And so I always have tapioca or arrowroot powder on hand. And they work the same. You can use them on a 1-for-1, anything you're going to use cornstarch in. And then that will make your gloves slip right on. But anyway, I'll see if I can find an Amazon link if I didn't finish saying that. I'm such a rabbit trailer. And I'll go ahead and link to them below because I highly recommend them for all kinds of things. Because you can find them that fit decent. And they last much longer than the latex. And then using your tapioca or arrowroot powder to just make them slip on easier, you know, it's good for you, it's healthy, you're not having to worry about what's in there. And so then this is the best thing for handling your stinging nettle. Now you still have to be careful because you can still get stung through this, but just grab the stems, don't try to grab the leaves too vigorously. And then just break them off. You can even use scissors. And then what I'll do is I'll pile them on my dehydrator trays and then dry them for, you know, it usually takes all day for it to dry till it's very, very crispy. And then I put these in my mixed greens blend along with the dandelion leaves. So I got a tray here full of dandelion leaves. Most of this goes in my mixed green blend. Now I do like to use dandelion leaves fresh. I'll even eat them fresh, especially earlier in their year. In the springtime is when they taste the best. They have the least amount of bitterness. And even if you just add a little bit of salt and eat them like that, I'll do it. I don't have a problem with it. I guess I've eaten enough feverfew that to me, dandelion leaves don't taste that bitter anymore like they used to. But anyway, I'll be dehydrating all that up today, the dandelion leaves and the stinging nettle. And here is the jar that I always keep handy of my mixed greens blend. I have several quart jars still to go through from last year. And I have a video that I did in the fall of me gathering up all of my different greens that I dehydrate, because as I'm dehydrating them, I keep them in separate jars until I get to the point I want to blend them all together. That way I can see really what my ratio is to, you know, of rutabaga leaves, beet greens, and stinging nettle, and strawberry leaves, and grape leaves, and all that. And all that stuff is in here. But each year I'm going to have different ratios. Like last year I had a very low ratio of radicchio and kale because they just, for whatever reason, usually it grows incredibly prolific here. And it's doing it again this year, thankfully. But last year, just nothing. I hardly got anything. And so I just had a very little bit amount in last year's blend. But this year I think will be good. But yes, I'll dehydrate them all, mix them together. And then this blend, I put a handful of this in every batch of soup I make, in gravy, in casseroles. I just made a salmon pasta casserole, and I threw a bunch of this into the the sauce that goes into the casserole, and it's just a way that we can get all the good, healthy, wonderful nutrients and stuff that are in all these greens. Now, the reason I started growing stinging nettle was mostly for the fact that I knew it was very beneficial to thyroid health. And I'd learned that just before, or just as I started taking us off of our thyroid medication, weaning us off. And I don't want to have to bother going out in the woods all the time, because we get so busy around here, we don't always think to get out there and harvest stuff out in the wild. So I like to grow as much on the property as I can. So yes, I intentionally planted stinging nettle on my property so I could have it on hand and have as much as I need. So I do have a video out that I did a year ago of me harvesting stinging nettle. That was the first year I started kind of really getting into the harvest, and also about the benefits of it. And you might want to check that out. I'll go ahead and link to it right here. But now when I harvest, the first year I started harvesting, I just picked a leaf at a time because I was a little nervous. And now that I know, it does much better and grows more vigorously if you just hack it right down. And so last year when I did that video, I just kind of cut it halfway down. And now what I do is I hack it pretty much clear to the ground. And it'll just take off again. So if you're growing it on your own property, whether it be intentional or not, that's really the best way to harvest it. Just harvest it clear down. And it's also good for your animals. I believe chickens, it's really good for chickens. I have yet to feed any to my chickens. I probably should throw some of this out to them. I would think eating it raw would sting though. But whatever, some people say that. And this is out front where we don't let the chickens free range. So, which reminds me, slugs also love stinging nettle. And so I've had a heck of a time keeping the slugs off of anything out front, because we didn't allow our chickens to free range out there last year. But back here, this is the first year that we've had such a minimal problem with slugs, and I know it's because of the chickens. And so what we're going to do over the winter, fall, we're going to get some more fencing, just a temporary fencing where we can fence in the front garden area, and then just let the chickens out there for an hour or two a day, and let them go through there and pick all the slug eggs and baby slugs and old slugs and whatever, and just demolish them and see if that helps with our front garden too. So chickens are really a wonderful thing to have. I know ducks are supposed to be great for slug patrol, and if you have space for ducks, and then I say yes, do it. We don't have the space. And so chickens are the thing, and as long as you teach them how to eat slugs from the time they're little chicks, they should do a really good job of keeping your garden slug free. So I think that was about it for today's this and that, other than I did just have a question. Now keep in mind that when you see my videos, unless they're garden videos, I try to put the garden videos up within 1 to 3 days of actually recording it, to keep it as close to the actual recording time as possible. But a lot of times videos like this you may not see for a week or so after I've filmed it. So today I just posted the garden update. I had somebody ask me a question about the pressure treated posts in the ground, and if I worry about them. And it's a very good question and an understandable one, because we know that there's so many, when you're dealing with pressure treated lumber, now you're having to concern yourself with toxins. And it's just like the person that talked about the bricks that I had around the garden, and do I worry about the toxins in those? Well, here's how I look at things. First of all, I do try to avoid toxins as much as I possibly can, but there's some times that I have to make a compromise. And that compromise is either going to be in the form of frugality, or in the form of, okay, well, what's going to be the best all the way around. So pressure treated lumber, when you live in a place that gets 120 to 160 inches of rain per year, you got to understand that you can't just put raw wood in the ground. It's going to rot very quickly. And for the amount of time and work and cost of getting the lumber and putting it in the ground, pressure treated is going to cost us a little bit more, but it's going to save us a lot more work down the road. And so this is one of the places we have to compromise, because especially if you're going to build a structure, because eventually in that garden area, what we want to do is cover that whole thing and maybe turn that whole big area into a greenhouse. So we don't want to put wood into the ground that's going to rot in just a couple of years. We want something that's going to last for a very long time. So in a few years, we don't have to tear it down. Now the potato patch, where Mr. Rain boxed that around, he didn't use pressure treated lumber, he just used old wood, because that's not as big of a deal if we have to tear that apart down the road and rebuild it. But certain other things, it's very important that we do use wood that's been treated, that's going to last for a long time. So just remember, if you live in a dry climate, you're going to probably, then I would suggest, yeah, stay away from the pressure treated wood. And then also there's, you know, if I find bricks for free and I need my garden boxed in, it's worth it to me to do that, because financially that's going to be the best thing for us, because we can't afford to run out and buy all the bricks that I want and need for my garden. It's a pretty big expense. Some people can afford that, we simply can't. So anyway, that's just so you understand, you know, that's why we do it. And sometimes you just have to find what's going to work for you. Be as toxin free as you can and be mindful of what you're using, yet at the same time, don't worry yourself sick about it. Do I worry about it? No, because I have so many other things to worry about that I would be sick physically just from worry if I tried to concern myself with every tiny little thing that there is to worry about there, because there's toxins in our air, there's toxins in our water, there's toxins all around us, and some things we can't totally control either, and so we can't freak out about everything. We just got to do the best we can to live as healthy and as toxin free as we are able to, both physically and financially. Well, I hope my brief little soapbox helps people kind of understand where we're at, and that yes, we try to be as healthy and toxin free as possible, but part of being healthy means also not worrying about every little thing there is to worry about, because there's a lot to worry about. There's a lot of things you can worry about: the toxins in your air, you can worry about the toxins in your soil and in your water, and do your best to avoid them. Yes, but what you can't control, don't worry about it. You know, just because worry's going to kill you too. So take care of yourself all the way around. And that means emotionally, mentally, and physically. Okay, well, I hope that helps, and I hope that you learned something new. Thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.